All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Bo, the great Z. I love the fabric that you're in today. I just feel like it's
spectacular.
Yeah.
And the blue.
The blue's
it's like
nice.
an indigo.
It's a royal blue. I not royal in the sense of what you think is royal blue, but more regal.
Regal.
Maybe regal blue is how we'll
I would love
coin
to
it.
see this on this blue on like a king's cloak outlined
like
with
it.
like some, snow leopard trim.
Perfect.
Right?
Sold. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's
It is
very
good.
nice. It's very nice. I saw
Looks nice against the backdrop of
it
the
does,
orange as well.
with the orange. I saw this on
there it is.
with the there was an image.
You look
I
great,
guess,
by the way, too.
Thank you. I think that the Seahawks are doing new uniforms this year, and they're tweaking their blue a little bit to they're calling it King Blue. They're still going to have the royal throwback, but their home uniform they're going to go to kind of like a mix between a navy and the royal throwback. It's pretty cool. They're going to go to like a gray hat and kind of
Really? Where have you seen
yeah.
this? Was this
it was
seen
this
today?
morning. It was this morning. It's a leak, or maybe a fan put together what they could piece together with the leak. But I did see that today as well. So that color reminds me very much of
Yeah, it's a beautiful color.
the one you're wearing. I think they coined it King Blue is what they did. Do we have anything to get to?
Anything going on?
Anything going on? I was prepping for my morning show this morning, and I get up in the wee hours for that. That's an early alarm. By the way, snow day for the kids. A cold day.
Cold day. Same.
Cold day instead of a snow day. We were at basketball practice last night when we got the word, and that's as close to pure ecstasy as you'll ever see, is the notion as it was traveling around their phones that they were out, and it was 2 minutes of just uncontrolled pure joy bouncing off of walls.
I got to tell my kids who are much older but
Yeah.
still appreciate these days as much as they did
As you
when they were young. I told Arden, she wrote back bless. and Boots gave me a yay with a bunch of exclamation points.
Bootsy was so excited about it, he had a plan for his breakfast. So when I had prepped my morning show and then I handled the buddy business, who's, by the way, now pooping on command, which is incredible. I just say go poop, and he does. It's unbelievable.
That's how
he
Asa
just does
operates.
it on
Although,
cue. Like, go do it. I'd say go potty, go poop, and if I say go poop, he goes and does it. It's
Is that
stunning.
just because of the cold weather?
It's happened in the last week or so. I don't know how
So
it's
maybe.
happened.
I mean, I
So
do
think
that with
it's-
my dogs. I'm like, hey, we're not screwing around
Yeah,
today.
go.
It's a -5 out. Let's go.
I think it has to do
Asa
with
will look at me and be like,
yeah.
No.
that we're doing that.
go do it. And then you get to come in.
I think it's because I always walk him morning and night, and when he does it, that's always when he does it. And I must say it at that time to where he just anyway he's doing it now. It's a game changer.
Can I give you
so that was good.
Can I give you a little update on
Yeah.
the condition of sweet little Asa?
Yeah.
So Friday morning,
All right.
9 a.m., I'm on with Mon Frere,
Mhm.
as I am every Friday.
Yep.
She's sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
I'm pacing the kitchen on the phone, on the radio. She's sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden she yelps.
Okay.
Not moving, just a
Random yelp.
Gets off the couch, and now she won't put her front right paw on the ground. So she's now a three-legged dog holding her front right paw. I go, after I get off the radio, to touch it. She almost bites me.
Not having it.
She is yelping, pain, whatever.
Yeah.
My mom comes over because I'm like, I got to go to Houston today.
Yeah. We got an injured Asa.
And
She's limping around, hopping.
Miss K's at work. Help.
Yeah.
So she comes
Official
over.
Nana's there to help,
and as
of
soon as
course.
the official Nana comes in, Asa puts her paw on the ground and is like, I want to go on a walk. Goes on a walk. My mom sends me the video. She looks totally normal.
Cruising around.
Cruising around. Everything's great. I then get a call Friday night from Miss K. It was Friday night, Friday night. That now Asa won't put her back right paw on the ground.
All right.
So Saturday morning,
Rotating paws.
take her to the vet.
Sure.
Get to the vet. She's walking
She's
fine.
cruising.
Vet's like, I don't see anything wrong with her. I don't know. He examines her. I don't see anything wrong with her. We get home from the vet.
Okay.
Right paw back in the air. She's back to being a three-legged dog. She's hopping. I mean, it's.
So what'd she want out of you? She must want something out of you.
I would say yes, but here we are now on Wednesday, first Friday.
That's right.
Right paw has not gone back onto the ground at all. So finally we call the guy, so we got to bring her in tomorrow, and he's going to, like, x-ray or check. Like, something's going on. But at times when she gets excited, she stands up on her back legs and asks for her bone, and she's fine.
It's amazing. They're the damnedest animals.
But how did it go from her front to her back? And you can yank on her back
Maybe
leg.
she
Nope.
overcompensated.
I think so. Maybe she strained a muscle.
Maybe.
That's going to be the only thing I think of.
On little
You
Ace.
better hope. Trust me.
Yeah, you don't want to
My
get
one
ligament
dog's got 2
repair.
bionic legs, and we don't want to talk about what that
This-
costs.
she-
We've already made that. I told the boys and Amy that at the beginning. If any of that happens with Buddy Garrity, good night, Irene. Like I'm not doing that.
No, and Ace, she's getting
Great
she's
life.
doing, she's doing
All the
fine
best.
as a 3-legged dog. She's very
fine.
happy.
She's thriving.
No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Well, obviously, within
I'm not
reason, take
kidding.
care of it.
I'm not.
I know you're not kidding.
No.
But so that's where this is the crisis. In our house.
So 6 a.m.
Yep.
I see a report from Josina Anderson.
Here we
that,
go.
Oh boy, we've got some changes reportedly.
This fast? It's only
This
106.
fast. Well, we got till 3.
Just don't dwell too much.
I'm not. I'm just
Don't pontificate.
I have no. This is a great tweet.
Look at that. Look at that.
It's a
look
great
hold on.
tweet.
Look at it. Look, it's painted on.
It's
it's
a
painting.
It's a great tweet. A nice cognac shoe. He's flipping. His tail's on his coat.
That was the best.
Oh,
That's
my
a new
God.
move.
It's a new
That's
move
new.
out of him.
Listen, if you're
You're
not
peacocking.
moving forward, you're getting worse, right? If you're not making progress, you're getting worse. You're not adding to your repertoire, and maybe that's where we're at here, trying, with what you're about to dive into.
So, report from Josina that we are parting ways with Alex Van Pelt, T.C. McCartney, tight ends coach, and then Stump Mitchell, running backs coach. So within an hour, some of this is then corroborated by Ian Rappaport, Mary Kay. I think Tone did too. The TC and Stump parts of it. But the one caveat with all of those reports was that AVP was still under contract. And then it just kind of hung there for much of the morning until AVP spoke with Jake Trotter, who's going to join us at 1:30, and told him that he is out. On to the next one. Proud of my time there. So nothing official from the team.
No.
I don't
These
know.
are the reports.
I don't know if you're going to get something. I would say it's more than a
You will.
report when
You
you
will
are
at some
directly quoted from Alex Van Pelt, and then that is him telling you. That feels like more than a report. But
I remember when.
sometimes not even that's enough. But he's quoted.
Who's
so
your source? Him?
the actual
The one?
talked to him this morning. Okay,
Told me?
told me.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right. So you've got some staff shakeup here, reportedly. I don't know when we will have something official, but this is several people who are reputable who have been reporting this all morning.
Yeah, and I think we'll get something official. And I think that if you look at it from a Browns standpoint, you've had a lot of continuity on this staff. For the most part, I think there was only 1-2 changes from last year, right?
Yeah.
And you had Petzing went to Arizona.
Yep.
You had, TC, this was his second year there. So the offensive side, I think, stayed exactly the same. And then defensively, you got Ben Bloom moved to D-line coach.
Yeah.
B. Lynch became the cornerback coach, and then Banda came in and was the safety coach, even though B. Lynch was on the staff last year as well.
Well, and then Joe.
And then, obviously, yeah.
At the top of it. Yeah.
Jim.
Joe Woods.
Joe Wood's gone. Jim Schwartz in.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Joe for Jim.
yes.
Yeah.
The Jims.
We're
and
talking in
Joes.
so much code, sometimes I don't even know where the hell we are. So,
Joe, like
I don't know.
Jim. Yeah, of course.
all right. So, the continuity was your point.
Well, yeah, and I think that, they are very intentional about everything they do here. AB, Depot, Kevin Stefanski, and they are obviously, in their opinion, there's an opportunity to get better in certain spots. That has, you're not making the move because you think, oh, let's make this move so we can get worse. There's clearly a notion that you think you're going to get better. And as you and I have talked about, I think this morning, certainly when off-season, Nathan woke up to a barrage of texts.
You're acquiescing to that? You can be off-season Nathan?
I can take off-season Nathan, yeah.
How about off-season Z?
Fine.
Okay.
Off.
I'm gonna work-
What about off-season?
Off-season?
Sounds like that'd work with the Hoff right now.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
Sounds like something you would pour out of a tap into a pint.
By the way, did you see the The Hoff is currently in the mountains of España.
I did.
Did you see?
It's Ibex. Is that what he's going for? Is that the operation?
Yes, he's going for Ibex.
Oh, he's succeeded.
He has succeeded.
Something new for the trophy room?
my
Yeah,
gosh.
and like these are massive.
Yeah.
They're called horns at this point, I would imagine, right?
I would assume
or
those are horns.
not antlers; they're horns.
Yeah, I've
I
been
don't
trying to
know.
get a hold of him all day. The phone reception is.
I got one
definitely
picture,
in and out.
and it came in as a green, and it is stunning.
It's crazy. I mean, that's a monster.
A monster.
I mean, it looks prehistoric almost.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
There you go, Gibby.
Give it.
That's so
that's,
good.
That's your big boy
I
right
mean,
there.
what's that costing to ship back to the homeland?
I'm sure his salary as offensive line coach of the Birmingham or the Munich Ravens can cover that.
€1,000 a month.
Yeah, I think that'll cover it. That'll do
Well,
it.
he's the good
That's
news
so
in this
good.
one in terms of shipping it back is I imagine you're not. I don't know that it's not like with the elk where you're shipping back all the tonnage.
I don't know if he.
I
I,
don't
would
know that
assume
you're
he would
using
want the
ibex.
meats.
Do you?
I would think.
Have you ever heard of anybody eating ibex?
No, but I've also never eaten in Spain, so I don't know.
I have, and I never remember seeing ibex on the menu.
They have a very good pig, I know, in Spain.
Yeah.
The Iberico.
Iberico,
Yeah, I like the look of
Jammo.
that. Those guys are good.
Jammo.
I don't know if you eat ibex or not.
Is ibex meat good to
What's
eat?
the difference? Like if you go and hunt a bighorn sheep or a mountain goat, you never hear about people eating that, but yet you eat elk. Why not?
Says it's pretty good.
See?
Who eats alpine? The horns. Oh no, that's not people. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
think
it's
the
made
Hoff would
into
try to
some.
do it.
It's made into some, like sausages and curries.
See?
'Kay.
Yeah. You're gonna have a chance.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Icemen of the Alps ate ibex meat shortly before dying 5,000 years ago. Well, maybe shouldn't
Bad
eat it.
rep.
Maybe you should eat it.
5,000
That's
years
a
of
pretty
bad
tough
rep.
headline. I mean,
Yeah, like who corroborated that? It could have been any number of things that got him.
for sure, they're Icemen of the Alps. So, like,
5,000 years ago.
times were probably tough. Not a lot. They probably didn't have heaters.
You think there was an autopsy?
I think they froze.
Yeah, I think that's more likely. I don't blame the ibex.
Me neither. That's
Seems ridiculous.
I feel like an attorney for the ibex should
I agree.
step in on and that's from the Washington Post. Have that stricken
Sad.
from the record.
Sad.
Feels like libel.
How do we get to ibex?
The Hoff hunting.
Which how do we get to that?
Because you said Joe.
Oh, Joe. See, it's a
There it is.
wonderful road we
It's
travel.
just off the rails.
It's a
and
great. It's a great
wonderful
web.
road.
It's a great web we weave.
It really is. We were talking. I just think where you're at right now as an organization, and I have this is me talking, not the organization, very clearly. You are at a point where the only thing that matters is Deshaun Watson.
We were
And
getting there. Yeah.
That's where we were headed. That's all that matters. You need him at his best, what he was acquired to be by the time he's healthy and back. And whatever is necessary to get to that point, that's where you are as an organization. He is the present and the future of the organization, and getting back to the player he was, whom you acquired, is all that matters. And if these moves I don't know if they're connected or not, but the whole operation is, and I talked to this, I think last week, wasn't a direct comparison to the two, but the best the offense looked for a sustained period of time since Kevin has been here is with Joe Flacco. So that type of look, you've got to get that with Deshaun next year.
So
I
I
don't know
think-
if they're all connected or not, but that's
I don't think they're all connected. I think
maybe
that,
none of them are.
I
Who
think
knows?
that. No, I think obviously if whoever you bring in at offensive coordinator, if that's the the
Yeah.
direction they're going, that's going to be that's job one. The next most important job would be job 100, right? Like
Yep.
it's jobs 1 through 99. So kept the offense, to your point. Let me go with you. Look the best that it looked in that stretch because Joe Flacco is incredibly good at the things that Kevin Stefanski is best at, designing and sequencing, which is every bit as important as the play design. The sequence of the plays, what you show, what you set up, how you get to it is so important. And Flacco, with that hard back to the defense play action, was the best at. So I think there's a couple things that need to happen here this offseason. Number one, and Deshaun has done this in his career. His rookie year, he actually ran a lot of play action, is getting Deshaun to Joe Flacco's level as a back to the defense play action quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think that's part one, because that can still be the core of your offense. In my mind, the addition of perhaps a different style offense should be focused, in my mind. I'm not, this is not speaking for that. I have not spoken what their desire is for this, but this is my mind, is that whoever you bring in allows us to have a more diverse and effective shotgun game.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where I felt like we were kind of limited in the things we did out of shotgun.
Yep.
So you want to have a little bit more of a diverse shotgun game and also have, a more effective and comfortable for Deshaun drop back passing game. So the marriage of Stefanski's base with that, I think, gives us an offense that is going to be able to do everything and anything that you would want to be able to do in the National Football League. So that, I'm guessing, is probably the goal in the design here, is to get somebody who is more proficient at either, call it, that shotgun game, or somebody who had familiarity with Deshaun and has had success with him in the past. I think that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. And this is just us connecting dots, kids.
Dots that offseason Z found out about this morning.
Yeah.
That needed to be connected.
Yeah, you need to. You've got so that's the operation here is that, and that's the way that this thing goes. But I was not anticipating it on a first Friday at 6 a.m. I'll tell you that.
No.
Certainly didn't see it coming. So it was that is what has happened reportedly, and we'll see if there is anything from a team perspective coming out on that as we go along today. There's a lot of news going on in the National Football League. We will get to that coming up. The man who broke the story, ESPN, or rather who got the quote from Alex Van Pelt, Josina Anderson, broke the story this morning and was right, to her credit, on all of it. Allegedly. Well, we do have a quote. I mean, like, on AVP, we have a quote.
There is a quote.
Like, we're going to have a guy on here at 1:30.
Who's the source?
Who talked?
Who's the source?
The dude.
Himself.
The source.
Not sure you can use that.
Not sure you can use
Not
that.
the first time we've
Jake
had that.
did.
Right.
Jake did. So he'll join us.
Jimmy's back.
At 1:30.
He's back for that joke. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. We got a little higher, lower as well. We're off and running on a first Friday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Supplies Plus, the winning team. They crush the competition, everyday low prices. More selection and powerhouse lineup of fan favorites like Purina, Pro Plan, and more. Great for dogs, cats, fish, and reptiles. Pet Supplies Plus is your MVP. A lot going on in the NFL world. Let's do the coaching stuff first. We mentioned reportedly the stuff that has happened here on our staff this morning. Jake Trotter will join us coming up in about 12 minutes with some details on that in terms of what he has learned. One of the most remarkable things was within a 48-hour period, and I guess this is how you do it now in the NFL, and I guess it's been this way for a while, like the team's own pages put out who they interviewed. So like the Atlanta Falcons social, we've interviewed Bill Belichick for the head coaching job, and then 48 hours later, we interviewed Jim Harbaugh for the head coaching job.
I'll tell you what.
That's wild, man.
It is wild. For the Falcons, I think Belichick got that out there. It was the first one. Notice he was the first one with the Falcons, and I think he put that out there to say, hey, folks, I want to coach again. Mm-hmm. And perhaps Atlanta is the destination. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think it was to say, hey, Philly, if you're not happy with the way that season ended, let me come wet my beak on those Eagles. Hey, Dallas, Jerry.
That's it, isn't it?
Jerry, you're not happy with McCarthy, and apparently
He's still
Dak.
employed.
Apparently Dak really likes him and wants him back, and so that might be his saving grace. But you'd think Jerry would want to give that a run. I've decided, this is me.
All right, wait, let me get a pen.
I think Atlanta might be the most desirable coaching job that's open.
Here's the deal. I know where you're going for. Tons of talent, skill position players, talent everywhere, really good defense, good offensive line, owner that's ready to go, new stadium, fun place to live, all of it. They have everything that the Chargers don't have, and the Chargers have everything they don't have. Because the Chargers job, you get the quarterback. Now you get salary cap jail. It's tough. They're going to have to make some restructures. But you've got the quarterback, and you've got Southern California. The difference is you have ownership that's really good in Atlanta, not so much in L.A. Mr. Zagura. But it's the QB.
Well, my belief is that I'm going to get Justin Fields.
But you don't have him yet.
Okay, but I'm going to get him.
But would you rather have – I guess there it is. Would you rather have Justin Fields with the Atlanta skill position talent playing in the NFC South or Justin Herbert and the Chargers talent playing in the AFC West? South?
Yeah. Here's why.
It's not as overwhelming as it was in the AFC West. Denver isn't as formidable as it was.
Agreed.
The Raiders aren't much.
But
it's Kansas City
still,
you got to deal with
Mahomes.
But you do have Herbert.
You do have Herbert, who I like a lot. I just think in Atlanta, bring Justin Fields down there. You have all those things you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs are aging, and in another division probably are not in the playoffs.
Correct. Yeah.
The Saints are aging and not good, and Carolina is dreadful.
The worst, the dregs of the league.
So I feel like you could go to Atlanta and you could be the king of that division for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean they're set up for that. They with just the one exception.
Well, Justin Fields.
You'd have to get Fields.
They will get the 8th pick of the second round.
I agree.
And I will get Justin Fields.
Next year's 2. I think it'll be 2 twos is probably how it'll go.
We'll start with 1-2. Who says no? You have the 1st, 9th, and then you have the 8th and the 9th. So you have 4 of the first 41 picks in the draft.
So Atlanta, just trying to think who the bidders would be. I don't think it'll be the Broncos. I would think the bidders for Fields would be Las Vegas and Atlanta, with Pittsburgh as an outside.
The truth is, if I want Fields, and I know that he is capable in Chicago. He played some good games in bad weather, but I think the idea of having him in a dome is a wonderful thing.
Really nice?
Yeah.
I think it would be his choice, and I think that the talent around him is very good there. His ability to be successful with Bijan.
And then 2 big
Pitts
catch radius guys.
Yeah, big guys, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I think that – I mean, we've been trying to speak that into existence for like 2 years on the show, is getting him down there. I have been, I guess. So is that more attractive? So to me, let's do the Harbaugh part of this. I think for Harbaugh, it's the Chargers. He played in San Diego, knows the Spanos family. Wife is from Southern California. Loves Herbert. His view of it would be franchise quarterback. Give me that guy, and I'm going to go.
I'll make it work.
I'm going to make it work the rest of it. Like I
Yeah,
got
see,
my
that's
guy.
not who Bill is.
But that's not who Bill is. So this
Right.
could be eye of the beholder thing.
Yeah.
Munkin's the one I want in Atlanta.
Same.
He did not interview there, but he interviewed with the Chargers and the Panthers.
Why is he not interviewed in Atlanta?
I don't know. I mean, he's
What, he
beloved
did at the University
Georgia.
of Georgia?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the spot. Like him with Fields and all of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like knowing Justin, I don't know that it would really matter a lot who Bill hired, and I'm guessing he's going to go McDaniels. Don't you think?
Feels like it. That's who'd go with him.
That he would go with him. So unless he goes back to New England and runs Jared Mayo's offense. I don't know. But that's where you're at.
Yeah. I think those are very – like Monken absolutely should not go to Carolina.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think anybody should. I think you need a 10-year contract to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want – I don't think you want any part
I
of
don't
that.
think you want any part of that job. We had some retirement. Jason Kelsey retiring. Reportedly, it seems like it's he hasn't had like the presser yet, but like it's this. That's where you're.
But he
at.
said he's going to take some time to announce his future plans.
Well, maybe he wants to do it as part of the pod, and
I'm sure.
do some big there.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin says, "I'm back, baby." Took it into his own hands with his availability yesterday.
Yep. Yep. I like it.
Yeah.
Not a surprise.
No, And then Caleb Williams did the deadline to declare was a Monday, so you had all of the guys making the final choices on that. And Caleb Williams was in. We're in a tricky spot, and I actually ran into it this morning with Josina, where in the old days on the Twitter, which is still the number one like breaking news source that there is.
Yep.
And in the old days, like I would look for verification, and then I would look for following. Because sometimes you get a fake verification.
For
so you look
sure.
for verification and following. Now it's Wild West on verification. You just pay for it and you have it or you don't. And so then you have to track down following. So like on the Josina tweet this morning in regard to our reported changes on our staff, I went right to followers. Like what's the number that you're at on that? And then I saw it was, well, this is Josina. The same thing happened with Caleb Williams last week. There was a fake account that was a fake beat reporter. I mean, he's an actual beat reporter, but somebody made a fake one.
Got it.
And tweeted that Caleb Williams wasn't going to go pro unless he had assurances that the Bears would not take him.
Yep.
And then it was pushed everywhere, like as if it was real. And it almost got me because, you were on a plane, and I was like, I think this is pertinent, and I had to like triple check to make sure that it wasn't real. But several people had pushed it out in the meantime. Reputable people had pushed out something that was nonsense in the meantime. So there was a lot of people went to bed on Friday thinking Caleb Williams wasn't going to declare unless he got assurances he wasn't getting picked by the Bears. And that just wasn't the case. Although it would be smart if I were him. Like I wouldn't want to go to that organization. As good as that everything is there.
Agreed.
They've never done anything with quarterbacks ever. And by the way, Eli Manning did that. Not playing for the Chargers.
Thanks.
I'm good. And didn't.
Did not.
No. And it worked out for him because he won 2 Super Bowls with
It
the
did.
Giants, and the Chargers haven't won one.
Do you think what's the percentage you'd put on that being the outcome?
Caleb,
Yeah.
like not playing in Chicago?
Yeah. Like how real is this?
I think the problem is much like Justin, you will be intoxicated with the idea of if I win here, winning in Chicago, and especially like a star quarterback in Chicago,
Yeah. And you're going to they're going to have an opportunity to surround you with
a ton of talent.
a lot of talent.
You already have studs all over the place. You're going to pick at 8. You're going to pick whatever somebody gets you get for the Fields pick. So, I mean, you're going to get the second best receiver in the draft.
I would
Marv's going to
think.
go to Arizona, and then probably Rome Odunze is going to end up, the kid at Washington, is going to end up being your guy if you will go that way.
I'm telling you, Arizona, frisky. That's why Seattle job to me is not a good one. San Francisco is going to be great. McVay showed that he's going to make it work, and Stafford doesn't look anywhere near done. And
No.
I think Arizona is going to be frisky. You put Marv on that team?
Yeah, because he's ready-made.
Yeah.
He's good to
Agreed.
go. All right, Jake Trotter spoke with Alex Van Pelt. He will join the program coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, what do sports and Jim Beam have in common? Both are better when enjoyed with others, so grab a bottle, get together with your friends, and stir up some highballs on a First Friday. It makes a lot of sense. That's Beam, soda, ice, lemon slice, perfect cocktail for a refreshing crowd on game day. Now get back to the game with your friends. Jim Beam, come on as fans, leave as family. Game on. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. We head out on the Twisted Tea Hotline. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor for Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. And we're going to talk to Jake Trotter, great friend of the program of ESPN, and he joins us now. Well, you talked to Alex Van Pelt. What can you tell us about that conversation and AVP's thoughts of what reportedly, well, I mean, you talked to him specifically, so for him, what happened today?
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion about what his status was, right? I mean, we had reports saying he was fired. We had reports that he wasn't fired. I'd heard from the Browns in an official capacity that everything was still being evaluated and that he was under contract. So I just reached out to AVP myself, and he said that he is no longer going to be on the Browns coaching staff. He's moving on to his next step, and that he's proud of his time in Cleveland. So I do think it was and continues to be to some degree kind of a murky situation. I don't know if fired is the word I would use to describe the parting of ways between AVP and the Browns. But the Browns are going to be looking for at least 3 new assistant coaches this offseason.
What was your initial reaction to the reports and then obviously your ability to go talk with AVP? What was kind of your initial reaction? What do you think the thought process may be here?
I was surprised, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I did not anticipate that move being made. I didn't. I thought if AVP had an opportunity to call plays elsewhere that he would have left, but I didn't think that what has happened or is happening was going to happen, as recently as earlier this week. So it was a surprise to me, and I think it was a surprise to a lot of people in the organization as well. There's always, usually going to be some kind of shakeup, right? And I wouldn't say the Stump decision surprised me. And, for whatever reason, the Browns and Stefanski decided to move on from TC, the tight ends coach. But I was surprised by AVP because I think he's very well thought of by a lot of players and people in the building. So it was a little bit of a surprise to me, as I'm sure it was to some degree for you guys as well.
Yeah. Did you get a sense from AVP what his feeling was on it? Was there that same surprise from him?
Yeah, nothing that I can really. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what exactly happened. I think by the end of the day, I'll have a better feel for it. I mean, I think I know what happened, but I don't want to say something I haven't reported myself yet.
Sure.
So I'll just say that. Again, I think AVP was valued, and I don't think that they, felt like this was a guy that we can't have around anymore. We got to move on from. I wouldn't characterize it that way.
All right, and we'll, I'm sure, get some of those insights as the day unfolds and figure out if it was, something like they maybe wanted a change of title, whoever. We'll find out all that.
Yeah,
stuff
I think
in the right time.
you might be on the right track there.
So. Obviously, the Browns are now, at least it would seem, Jake, to be in the market for a new offensive coordinator. And Bo and I have talked about, job 1 this offseason and job 1 through 100 this offseason is getting this offense as good for Deshaun Watson and getting him as comfortable doing the things that the offense will require. That's job 1, right? So that being said, what do you think it is maybe that they are looking for, or who, if you have names, that they may be looking at to fill this potential offensive coordinator void and buttress what Kevin Stefanski already does so well at his core?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on this. Is Kevin calling plays next season? And if he is, then that's going to change your candidate pool. If he isn't, then I think there's some names that could be in the mix that might be a bigger splash, right? So I have no indication that Kevin's not calling plays. I don't know that this move is signifying that, but it is going to be something worth looking into. And again, I don't know if it's something that's being contemplated, but if it is, then I think you have an opportunity to bring maybe an offensive mind calling plays that is more familiar with the type of offense they want to run with Deshaun. I mean, we all know this. The offense they're running with Joe Flacco, that is Kevin's bread and butter. And you could tell by some of the plays he was calling that, like, he was in a groove.
Yep.
And it never really felt that way when Deshaun was at quarterback. Now, was that, health reasons? Was that just the performance of the quarterback? Was that, them trying to feel each other? I don't know. But, I mean, they were way better offensively when they were running the offense with Joe Flacco than they were trying to run the version of the Deshaun Watson offense.
Yeah, I mean, the stretch you had with Flacco is the best, most explosive, most dominant offensively that we've had. Derek Anderson had a run in 2007 that was really good, but other than that, it's like Bernie. Like Baker had there were some moments, but
2020, second half of 2020.
Those 4 games
but it was
were
kind of
monsters.
Similar type offense.
Yeah,
well, right.
Those 4 games were monsters. They were bombs. I mean, it was chunks. It was
Flacco as the big arm, and he is the best at doing the things that Kevin is the best at, scheming and sequencing. And so it worked.
Yeah.
And so I think part of this offseason, and Jake, is not just getting somebody in here who is more comfortable doing things or maybe has even worked with Deshaun in the past, but it's also a little bit on Deshaun, right, to become – if he can become an under center, back to the back defense, play action passer like Flacco did, now you can have everything. So I imagine who they're bringing in is going to be somebody that's going to buttress the shotgun game, buttress their motion packages, buttress the things that Deshaun is used to doing. And if you can have the marriage of all that, then all of a sudden you can be explosive from any scenario.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I like, what is this role going to be? Is it going to be similar to AVP? Is it going to be something different?
Right.
And I think the answer to that is going to determine what the candidate pool actually turns out to be.
Yeah, and we don't, that's we'll find out. Hopefully there's some clarity on that as the day goes along. In terms of the offseason, I guess we haven't had a chance to talk to you about the way that this season was for you, looking back on it. It had every single up, and the lows were incredibly low with the injuries to Chubb and the injury to Watson. The highs you couldn't get higher, and you've been here for a while now on the beat, and I certainly remember 2020 and some of the highs there, but that was COVID, and so we didn't have full houses and those things. What was this season like for you to cover this team?
Well, it was the first playoff game I've covered in 5 seasons because, as you mentioned, I wasn't traveling in 2020 to Pittsburgh or Kansas City. So it was fun to actually cover a playoff game. And if you'd have told me at the beginning of my stint here that it'd be 5 years before I covered a playoff game, I would have been stunned by that. But obviously extenuating circumstances, and the team has been up and down over the last 5 years. So I will say, I mean, I think I would probably divide the season into 2 different halves. It was basically dominated by, is Watson going to play? Is he not going to play? Is he hurt? Oh, he's back. Oh, he plays the best game of his career in Cleveland. Now he's out for the year, right? That was like the first half of the season, and it was extremely chaotic. And, you didn't know who was going to start at quarterback week to week, and you didn't know what you were going to get out of the quarterback who started. So that was and then, we kind of knew the defense was going to be dominant pretty early on, but I just think the quarterback chaos sort of overshadowed everything. And then the second half of the season, it was, this defense is for real. And then, oh, by the way, you've got this magical out of nowhere Joe Flacco story. And so I felt like it was kind of a tale of 2 seasons. And, the back half of the season was a blast to cover. I mean, it was really fun covering that stretch with Flacco. And, I think I told you guys this, like, it was a really good locker room to cover. It was the best one I've had since I've been here. Just a lot of good guys. I thought it was a lot of good, a lot of players in the locker room who were approachable and like just super insightful and interesting to talk to. And I think in a tweet a couple weeks ago, I shouted out some of them that didn't win the Good Guy Award, which went to Bitonio. But like, honestly, I could have voted for 10, 15 different guys. And there were a couple seasons here I had a hard time like narrowing it. I had a hard time like picking 2 or 3 to consider. So they've done a really good job, I think, stocking this locker room with the type of players to get the kind of chemistry that you need to build a winner in the NFL. So I would say the last 2 months of the season was the most fun I've had covering the Browns in 5 years.
It was a special
awesome.
time. It was a very, very special time, and that's why, what I've kind of said is this was not a fitting end to what was a very magical season, and that's kind of how I felt about what happened in Houston. But that doesn't change how great these 4.5 months were, and the Browns obviously feel like they need to make some changes going forward, and that's kind of how you end up where you were today. You mentioned the locker room, and I think you've always had a very good sense of this from our conversations. Do you think what they established in that locker room this year is, and there will be changes on the roster, there are every year, but do you think that kind of baseline culture is something that will be able to be carried forward by this organization?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, we got to see what happens at quarterback. That's going to be the big question mark. Like, is that going to come around? Because we don't know, right? It's just been all over the place. But, just from like Myles Garrett stepping into the leadership role that he did this year, which I don't think always was the case, is big. And then you've got guys like, you've had guys like Awok and Amari and obviously like Bitonio and just veterans that I think the younger guys, have really learned from, and I think are going to continue that culture when the Awoks and the Amaris, maybe gone or, retire, move on to a different team. So, I mean, listen, it's not, you got a ways to go before you have like a championship type culture that we've seen at other places, but I think they're on the right track. I mean, if I compare it to 2019, you guys remember that 2019 season?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
To now, it feels like night and day to me. And I think that there's just more accountability in that locker room. There's less selfishness. Is that the right word? Like there's just more of a team spirit that I think is really important. And I think it helps that like your best players are kind of leading the charge too.
Yep.
Yeah, and they all grew up here, right? I mean, you go back, you talk about 19. I mean, you think about, Miles and JOK. I mean, you think about the guys who developed into like faces of the organization. They were all drafted here. They've grown up here together. And so that's how you do it is you've got now a bunch of guys. I mean, for forever, it was like draft picks don't get second contracts around here. And now they're all getting second contracts around here. So that's part of it. And it's the flip side of that is for the winning and the culture and the belief and all of those things to continue, you also have to strike right now because the iron could not be hotter. All of the guys we're talking about are in their prime, Jake. They're either already entered it, they're in the middle of it. The time is now in an AFC that is ultra, ultra competitive. You think of the job Andrew Berry has this offseason, my gosh, he's got critical questions to answer at running back, at receiver, and he's got a cap that he's got to maneuver as well. I mean, he lives for this. We know that. But there is a lot that's going to go into this offseason for him.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And back to what you were saying earlier, it's not just the guys they drafted. I mean, they've brought in guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, great locker room guy.
Yep.
Za'Darius has fit in really nicely with Miles. I think better so than we've seen some of those ends in the past. Obo has been a great locker room addition. I mean, I think Amari is just an absolute pro. Plays hurt. Just a tough guy and a gamer. I mean, like I go down the list. Like there's just a bunch of guys that they've brought in on top of like the DeJuan Joneses of the world that they've really hit on JOK. So yeah, I mean, like the window is now. You're not building for something in the future, and it's not going to get any easier because in addition to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow is going to be back and Lamar. Now you got C.J. Stroud you got to deal with. I mean, it's just not going to get any easier, and we don't know what the schedule is going to necessarily look like when we get to it, but on paper, it is an absolute load next year. I mean, on paper, it looks like a much tougher schedule than what the Browns face this season. I mean, you've got Mahomes, you've got Herbert coming to Cleveland, you've got Tua, you've got Dak Prescott. I mean, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a huge challenge. And then, this team, I think, could get better in areas. Like they probably need more firepower at receiver. Do they need to draft a running back with, the situation with Nick Chubb? Like when is he going to be back? What's he going to look like when he's back? I wouldn't be surprised if they took a running back on day 2? What are they doing at the offensive tackle position? Like, everybody there is hurt, so like it's going to take a little while before you can work through it. I mean, DeJuan Jones, last I saw him, was still on crutches, so he's got a long road back as well. But you got to be better offensively than what you've been, I think, to really feel like you have a good shot to get to the Super Bowl, because that should be the expectation for this team going forward. And I think it goes back to some of the coaching shakeup they've made. They know that as good as they were with Flacco, like, this team is going to live and die by what Deshaun Watson and this offense looks like next season.
Yeah, it certainly is. Great reporting out of you, bud.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time today and jumping on with us, and look forward to reading the rest of your coverage on the matter. Thanks, pal.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
All right, that's ESPN's Jake Trotter joining the program on the Twisted Tea Hotline. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. A little bit of higher or lower coming up next here in the second hour of the program. Better or worse. Little Joel Bitonio. Some more news around the league as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballot, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Hello, Gibbe.
Hi.
I don't think your mic's on. Are you plugged in?
Hi.
No.
Yes.
Hi.
Uno.
That's my bad.
Uno, you had
Uno's in
7 minutes.
And
Uno.
Uno's in a business
Well,
shirt today.
He
so
is in a business shirt.
I like the shirt. I told him.
You'd
I
think
like
it
the
would be.
shirt.
Look at your business shirt
Yeah,
today.
your business shirt's on. He
Business is picking up.
That's business.
For
is
what?
good.
I don't
We're
know,
running-
but-
we're
Exactly.
running a business here. Somebody is. Yeah. So good to see you, Gibbe.
How we doing?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, you know.
We're just getting started. Listen, we got a long off season to go.
We're 48 hours into this.
Here's the good news: is the NFL playoffs
72,
are still going
something
on.
like
so
that.
They are.
we can talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they're
all
very-
we want.
they are
We can talk
going
about.
on.
Did you guys happen to see as a fun? I guarantee. I'm pretty sure. Let me be diligent here. Make sure this didn't make it in here. No, it didn't. Did you guys happen to see the question that Todd Bowles was asked? That was
Yep.
probably. It's got to be a top. It's on a Mount Rushmore of most absurd questions that have ever.
Do you know the
been asked.
backstory on that?
I don't.
Okay, so that is, from what I understand, it's a television station in Tampa that asked the question. The question that was asked was,
How are you preparing to play in the weather in Detroit?
Yep.
And if added the caveat of if the game is in Detroit,
yeah,
which the game is in Detroit,
factual.
and they play
and
in
it's
a
known.
dome
It is known.
And have been
Yes.
playing in the dome for
quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, really, the whole operation. I mean, Silverdome goes
Silverdome
back
to
a
this.
long
50
yes.
years, probably.
Yeah. So the reason that happens, and according to my sourcing down there, I got a former intern who's a sports director down there at one of the stations. That was a television news reporter
That's where it is.
who was asked to go to the press conference by management and is not, in fact, their normal coverage. So this is not somebody who's on the Bucks beat. This is not somebody who even covers sports. But because local TV is being hatcheted at every level, and what used to be probably a 3-person all sports department's now maybe a no-person sports department, but they got to have their Bucks stuff, so they send somebody there who has no idea what they're doing, and that's how it happened. That's what I was told.
I don't
And
care.
I can see that.
I can see that.
That's
and
the only way.
But
It's
I
not a
don't
good
care.
question irregardless.
The onus would be on that person
To not ask the question is what I think the onus should be. Don't talk.
Don't talk.
You're only
just
there to
listen.
record anyway.
And if you are going to ask a question, you research something
it.
so that you know that what you're asking is actually intelligent.
Yeah.
I've seen more people defending that person today on
Why?
social media.
For the reasons I just laid out, I'm pretty sure.
And for others, they're like, it's a real tough job. I'm like, no.
No,
like, if
that
you put
isn't.
the work in, put
That's
the work
a
in.
simple
Understanding
Google
that
on your
the
way
tr-
to
yes.
the press conference.
Well, and you know the game's set. You should know that.
should know
That's
it's
a
set.
basic. Yes.
On your way to the presser,
All right.
even if you have no point of reference on football or the
Who-
NFL or anything,
Who
what
do
am
the
I
Bucks
going
play
to
this weekend?
Where is the game? Who
Oh,
do the Bucks
okay.
play?
The Lions.
Detroit. Where do they play them?
Ford Field.
If you're going to ask the question,
You-
then you have to do that vetting. The simple thing to do would be just point the camera and don't say anything,
Correct.
and let everybody who's there all the time ask the questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody said, ask him about the weather. My guess. Somebody on a news desk said, ask him about the weather in Detroit. And somebody on the news desk probably didn't even realize that they play indoors. That's
Yeah,
probably
they
how
don't
it
watch either.
Are they living under a rock?
You'd be surprised.
It's they're on every Thanksgiving. This isn't like going to.
But if you don't
Play
watch football,
Atlanta.
If you don't watch it every week.
there aren't that many people who don't
You
watch
have
football.
come across in
This
your life,
Thanksgiving point's a great point.
irregardless, on Thanksgiving, seeing the Lions playing in a dome. You have
surely
you have
would think.
encountered that in your life, no matter how much or how little you watch football, care about sports,
Smallest.
all of it. You have that is you
It's
have
there, baby.
Yes. You need to pull
And
that
yet,
file.
Here we are.
Yeah, that's a quick Google, I think. On
You're
the way.
welcome, by the way. 5 minutes.
I did see that.
There's no need for you to count it down every day. I know we're 48 hours into the off season.
No. You're mistaking that. Not counting it down. We've got a lot of content to fill on Cleveland Browns Daily.
We're putting together some big
where
stuff.
The Cleveland Browns' biggest story about them we have not confirmed yet, nor so we can't offer really any insight into it or what the next steps might be.
Correct. Yeah. We're well aware of the
Thus-
reporting, and we
thus-
discussed the reporting.
Yeah.
in the first
Somebody
hour.
asking a question about the weather in Detroit, if they play Detroit, is
Yeah.
good. It's good fodder. It's good banter.
It is, yeah. And then you also got the full context of the story and how it happened.
Great job by you.
Yeah, so you got it all.
We're painting a rich tapestry for our audience right
We
now.
really are getting the people what they want.
How about a little higher or lower?
Let's do it, Gibby.
That's what the people
I believe
want.
it's called better or worse.
Nah, I don't know about that. How's your finger?
Actually, great. Tremendous job.
You were in rough shape yesterday.
Yeah, no, look,
Not a
look,
great
look,
day.
Look,
Oh, you're good.
no
Until you
pain.
got the lemon juice in it.
Oh yeah, last night I was making a delicious, found this great recipe. I made sous vide and then finished on my new pan. I got the Stanley Tucci pans for Christmas.
Oh, those
Oh,
are good.
baby.
The Tucci, the big one, and then a frying pan. And the big one is, I can't wait to make a pasta. I'm like so excited already.
He's real excited about when he's in Italy.
He's going
You
back.
watch that
There's,
show?
there's
I
another
love
season
that show.
The
coming.
show is great.
I
Yeah.
love that show.
So
I bought
great.
his book.
So excited.
He has a book that's about kind of his family, his, food is love, and basically his family and his upbringing, and like through the lens of food, and it's awesome. And I actually use some of the things that he did in his ragu in when I make my. It's more of a meat sauce than a traditional bolognese because I do have more of a tomato base to it. But like the way that he cooks the tomatoes, and it makes a big difference. It was like a game changer.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a great book. I have it. If either
What's
of you like
his-
to read it, I'll bring it in.
Do I know anything he's acted in?
Yes, you know
And I
everything.
just can't place it.
Yes, he's in everything.
Like I can't think of one movie he's in, and yet I feel like I've seen him in
He's
1,000.
in a billion movies.
Yeah. Oceans, isn't he in one of the Oceans movies?
No, that's Andy Garcia.
No. I
No.
think
He's definitely in the Hunger Games series.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I'm pulling up the
neither have I,
IMDb right
thank
now.
God. You're not missing anything.
He's in a ton of stuff.
No, I know he is. I just don't. I can't name a movie. I know I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but I can't think of the movies he's in. All right, so I pulled up the
Devil Wears
IMDb.
Prada,
Haven't seen it.
Hunger
Great movie.
Games, The Inside Man.
Devil Wears Prada. It's a good
Inside
date
Man,
night
I've
movie.
Seen,
It's a good date night movie.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, recently,
Captain America, more Hunger Games. Beethoven, Big Night. That's his movie about a restaurant, which is really good.
No,
The
there's a lot of these
Citadel.
I haven't seen. Well, now I don't feel so bad. I haven't seen that many of these.
The Pelican
Spotlight.
Brief.
Spotlight.
Pelican
That's
Brief.
the one that I. That would be the one that I've seen the most. That I'm.
Made in Manhattan. Fine
I don't know
film.
that I've got a point of reference on. Made
You've
in
never seen Made in
Manhattan.
Manhattan?
I don't think so.
Get out
I
of here.
don't think so.
What? That's like a classic early 2000s rom-com.
I don't think so.
Ralph Fiennes. J-Lo is like a maid in Manhattan and
Perfect.
Oh,
falls in love.
Yeah.
I got nothing on that.
Oh, man. That's shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean
I
he's
have a
been
follow-up
he has
for that
he
Made in
has
Manhattan
worked
movie, but we're not going to go down that road.
good. Yeah, Pelican Brief.
As to
in
why.
90
Pelican Brief, that's
As to
it.
my,
There's another one.
the reason why I watched that movie.
He was in the Tom Hanks vehicle Road to Perdition in 2002.
See, I never saw that.
Good movie. That was
Yeah.
a good movie.
Undercover Blues in 93, also a good movie.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's not, I haven't seen as many of these as I thought I would have. He's worked a lot,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen a lot of them. I think he's the bad in the Pelican Brief.
I think you're right.
Pretty sure he's the villain. Yeah, I like that guy though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you were slicing something up. What were you making?
Oh, yeah, last night. So I was making the pork chops kind of in this and then it was an arugula and frisee salad with a lemon parmesan olive oil,
Yep.
salt, pepper,
Wins.
dressing.
All
and
that
was
wins.
good. And then the pork chop had a little hot honey and lemon juice. And so when I did the lemon, somehow I cut it and squoze it, and all the lemon juice shot right into my wound,
Oh no!
which stung a great deal.
Sure, it did. Little acidic,
It stung
which stung a great deal.
a great deal.
You're like in the Gilded Age for a second.
It stung a great
stung a
deal.
great deal.
It was rather unpleasant.
There are a great many things that sting.
Few as much as that. I can assure you.
All right. This is from ESPN.com.
Very nice.
Seth Walder, our friend from ESPN and the analytics department there. The NFL MVP ballot for 2023,
All right.
ranking his top 100 players.
All right.
100.
He ranked 100 players for
Yeah.
MVP.
The AP expanded its NFL MVP ballot to include a top 5 ranking. I want more, however, especially because the NFL MVP award is almost by definition the league's best quarterback, which is both correct and kind of boring.
All right.
What happens if we expand that list? It means other positions come into play. We have to tangle with the tension between varying skill levels at positions of differing importance. Let's see. Howie came up with a ranking. This is a purely descriptive exercise, he says. All that matters is which players generated the most value in the regular season.
Okay.
My ballot represents my opinion, which is heavily influenced by quantitative evidence, such as pass block win rates, our receiver tracking metrics.
Okay.
He also factors in all pro teams and qualitative information such as Pro Football Focus grades.
Okay.
By the way, they didn't even have C.J. Stroud, and I generally like Pro Football Focus. I like it more for the information necessarily rather than the grading, but directionally it always typically feels directionally right. C.J. Stroud was not the fifth best quarterback to take the field over the weekend.
That's what they had him as?
Yeah.
He missed 5 throws?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Wasn't he 17 to 22?
Whatever he was very good.
Near perfect quarterback rating. They had him as not.
Sure felt like it was
No,
perfect.
he was like a 70-something rating, which isn't bad, but I think Mahomes was ahead of him. Perhaps I'll find it.
All right.
All right, let's kick things off, Kevin Arnold.
Higher or lower?
His number one
The Wonder Years?
out of 100.
Yes.
He's never got
Kevin with an
Never heard
A-N,
that
though.
before.
Never heard that.
With a what?
A-N.
Oh, but sounds the same.
Yeah.
I never knew the full name.
They have no point of reference on that.
You guys know what the Wonder Years is?
No chance.
No way.
Do you know who Fred Savage is?
I've heard that name before.
I bet you know his brother.
Oh, boy.
What was his brother? He was on the show. They're
Ben Savage.
That's Boy
Ben.
Meets Boy Meets
Boy
World.
Meets
right?
World. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Thank
The
God.
nickname Wonder Years there, Z.
He grew up with it. That's good.
Yep.
It's not a bad nickname. Wonder.
I mean, it's a
No,
hell
I
of
liked
a.
it.
That's a hell of a series.
Great series.
I was at a wedding in Montclair, New Jersey, and my buddy got married. The bride grew up with Paul from the Wonder Years, and I have a
Not
picture,
Marilyn Manson. Turns
not
out.
the same guy.
No.
I have a picture.
That was a rumor
He
for a
had
while.
all of his ribs too.
Yep.
I had a picture with me on one leg and Paul from the Wonder Years on the other leg doing the chair thing.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, I have it. I'm
Doing
like
the
this,
hora, yeah.
and he's here.
It's great.
It's great.
I knew somebody once who knew Winnie Cooper.
That's better.
That's
I think the best for
Congratulations
him,
on all
though,
his
the best
successes.
was On the Boat, Soleil Moon Fry, Peak of Her Powers. That was peak Kevin Arnold.
I forgot. She
Uno, what
paratrooped
are you
in late.
trying to tell us to
late.
speed it up?
Yeah, that's a different.
No, we're just having a conversation in here.
Oh, you kind of were moving your hand like
No,
He
I was
doesn't
I was
go
I was gesturing to the room.
We're trying to do a show in here, Uno.
No, I'm really enjoying this.
He has no authority of any kind.
He
He
still
knows it.
hasn't
He
seen
jumped in that
Ghostbusters.
day when Gibbe wasn't
What
here.
did
He
you do,
jumped
Ray?
in. He jumped. Yeah, what did you do, Ray?
All right, Seth Walder's
So you-
number
so
one
you end up
out
with
of
a Stay Puft
100.
Marshmallow Man.
For the record, I have seen Ghostbusters. Just didn't get the reference in the moment. I just want to clear that up.
All right.
I have seen Ghostbusters.
Well, we asked, "Have you seen Ghostbusters?" And you
I don't
didn't
know if
say
we
yes.
did that directly. I think
no,
we said, "Do
you
know
asked
where
if I
that's
knew the
from?"
line from the movie. I'm not
And then I
good
said,
at knowing
Gozar
lines
the
from
Gozerian,
movies.
He didn't know
Peter
any of that.
Venkman,
Yeah, he knew none of that.
Are you the key master? Are you the gatekeeper?
gatekeeper, and the keymaster. Sure.
When someone asks you if you're the gatekeeper, you say yes.
Yes. Moranis.
So good.
Moranis is great.
Yeah, just up and he retired after one of the Honey I Shrunk,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Just shut it down.
Walked away.
Yeah, he just hit, everything was a hit for him. Crushed it.
Number one on his list, Seth Walder, MVP balloting. Dak Prescott. Higher?
When did he release
Lower?
this?
This was out yesterday.
Tough hit.
It has to be regular season.
Well, sure,
Of
but I
course.
mean, like, you'd like for your guy who you have as the most valuable player in the league to get through the first weekend.
Agreed. By the way, I think it was Parenthood where he shows up in his wife's classroom and sings, "Why do birds
Yes, it was.
suddenly appear?"
I think you're right.
That's a powerhouse scene right there.
What a pipes on you, just
Oh,
belting
yeah.
that out, ready
Every
to go.
time you are near,
Very nice, very nice.
just like me.
Just
They
waiting on that
want
release.
to be
Dak
close
Prescott,
to
number
you.
one.
Not for me.
No,
Lower
Lamar.
or just right?
Worse.
Worser.
Worse.
He's worser than Lamar.
Lamar.
Oh, I don't even. We got to go down a little bit
By the way,
further
I
here.
saw a graphic as it relates to Josh Allen real quickly that they're 22 giveaways, most in the league, or second most in the league, I think it
Okay.
was. He also accounted for 45 total touchdowns. So if you're going to give me 2 touchdowns for every time that you do something bad, I think I'm going to live with that.
Be okay. And you also, even just to limit it just to touchdowns and turnovers, you're also you're not giving proper credit to the threat that he is to a defense running it.
Yeah.
You're not taking that into
Especially when he
consideration.
gives them
the fake slide.
am I going to slide? And then I'm going to accelerate.
Watch me.
And boy, he had some juice.
He did. He did have some juice.
Next,
Higher or lower?
number 2 is Josh Allen. Number 3, your guys' pick for MVP, Lamar. Takes us to number 4, Patrick Mahomes. Higher, lower, or just right, Bishop?
So the argument would be that Mahomes, who by the way had his worst season as a pro,
Correct.
What Walter is saying here is that even Mahomes at his worst elevates those around him and gets Kansas City to have the season that they have, and I think there's probably some truth to that. I would probably go Lamar 1. I think Dak is the right 2 if you just shut it off at the regular season. It's hard to do because we all saw what happened over the weekend, but I do think Dak is probably the right 2. And I don't have a problem with Josh 3. If you want to go position player, I think the guy he has at 5 is the guy that
5 or 7.
Yeah, McCaffrey. Yeah, McCaffrey or Tyreek. Like one of those guys. To me, position players, those guys could go up.
And I would honestly, and I know this is fun for debate purposes, but I think I would put Brock Purdy ahead of Mahomes this year. I know you'd say, well, how can you put him up there if you already have CMC? Like, how can they have 2 guys in the top 10 on offense? Purdy was really good this year. Really good. Outside the Ravens game and our game. Other than that, really, really, really good. I mean, historically so. And quite frankly, the other person who should be in the top 10 that's not
He's got CJ 12.
is CJ Stroud. That would be the other one.
Yeah. Did they lose both games he didn't play?
No. 1-1. They beat the Titans.
That was at Uniform Gate.
They
yeah.
in overtime.
Yeah.
By the way, they lose
came
that
back
game
because
we're playing
Tennessee
Indy.
was up big in that game.
They lose that game we're playing. Yeah, big.
Big, and then they came back. Yeah.
Keenum.
Yeah. No,
Gross.
CJ should be on there. He should be a top. He should be
When
a
you
top
do that, when you have that stat,
That's it.
and
That's
it's
the-
just 89 Montana, 2007 Brady, and
And
2023 CJ Stroud, you're in the top 10.
Next,
Where's Bryce Young on the list?
Or lower?
Tyreek Hill was number 5, the first non-quarterback on the list. CeeDee Lamb was number 6. Christian McCaffrey 7, and it takes us to the number
I might
1.
leave. I'm not.
way
I
to
don't know if
walk
I'm going
on
to be
that.
any better than that.
You've
the
sang
rest
as
of the-
Rick Moranis. You did
yeah.
that. All right.
And I
see
gave you a
later.
great burn, like we were in
Yeah.
that 70s show basement right there.
Costanza did that too. Remember, he was always trying to leave every room on a high note.
I know. Yeah,
All right. Then,
that's
see you later.
Literally would sit down and make one comment.
That's it.
All right, everybody. We'll see you.
he's a very diligent employee for the
So good.
Yankees.
The number 1 defensive player on Seth Walter's MVP ballot is Micah Parsons. Higher, lower, or just right? Zagura.
And so Miles is 9, which means in his mind, Micah Parsons should be Defensive Player of the Year. I'm curious, and we'll see what happens, but obviously from the point that he hurt his shoulder,
Yeah.
Myles Garrett was still very effective and dominant, but he was not finishing the deal as he did. I think he had 13 sacks in the first 10 games, 1 in the last 7. Had he continued at his previous trajectory, I think it's a no-brainer, and he's probably in the top, 4. You just wonder, does that hurt him at the end? I still think he's the most dominant defensive player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd put him ahead of Micah, but I can understand it.
The other thing that's really hard, I would too, but the thing that's really difficult about this is when you're doing this now, we have the context of what happened in the first round.
Yeah.
And our defense and the Cowboys' defense got blitzkrieged. So that makes it harder,
This needed
do
to
it.
come out last week.
Yeah, and his first thing with Dak, it's tough with that too. Like, how do you can't see Dak Prescott as an MVP after the way that it happened. And the thing with Lamar is it wasn't really until the last month that he won it. You know, he was in the mix and sort of talked about, but he wasn't at the top of the conversation. It was Jalen Hurts. There was Purdy. There was all of that. But then he had the closing arguments with San Francisco.
That's
where
what
they
the
hammered
opponent
San
said he
Francisco
played.
And Miami.
So, like, he had these incredible games at the end where they, like, slammed home. We're the number 1 seed. He's a dude. The San Francisco game was so emphatic. I mean, that's –
You know what's wild, and it'll be interesting to see with them is, and they're humongous favorites, which makes me think they are going to – I just don't understand anybody would not be on C.J. Stroud to at least make an appearance at the back door with that kind of number.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just going to boat race him, but that is a long layoff.
Yeah, because you're talking about
They didn't play Week 17.
2 weeks.
Well, it's really 3 weeks.
Yeah,
It's
true.
really 3 weeks since you last played a game.
Yeah. I haven't seen the numbers. How big?
As of yesterday, maybe we could do it. Yeah, as of yesterday, 9.5.
Oh, jeez.
We didn't do
and the
guess the spread
Niners-
because we figured you had seen
I
it.
did.
had it.
I said it.
You said
Listen,
it.
I'm
Yeah.
a man of
Acknowledge it.
honor and integrity.
And I think
It is 9.5. Texans at Ravens is 9.5. Packers at Niners 9.5. Saturday games both 9.5. Sunday Bucks at Lions is a 6.5. The only close spread in the whole thing is Chiefs Bills 2.5. Now I would have
Bills by 2.5.
Bills by 2.5. If
I
you
would have
were-
had Niners more like 10.5.
Packers are legit.
No, I know they are, but I think that
Still not buying them.
I could
the
see that at
Niners have
10,
had
but
huge. They've been huge numbers.
I would have
every
thought
week.
Ravens Texans would have been about
7.
5.
I was going to say 7, right around 7, 6.5 or 7.5 for them.
Bucks Lions feels about that's where I would have been right around 7.
I'd probably been a little bigger for the Lions. Little
Over 7?
yeah,
Like 8?
7.5
Okay. Chiefs
in
Bills,
the vicinity though. And
Bills
I would have
Chiefs
had
I would have
3.
had right at 3. I would have
Yeah.
said 3.
3. Home 3.
Looking at this overall top 100 list, he had 4 Browns up for MVP consideration. Miles at number 9. Amari
If you're
Cooper
47,
at
are
47.
you up for consideration?
Well, in his top
He ranked
100,
them.
he
He
had a
ranked them.
ballot. He had
He
100
ranked them.
names. He put 4 of our guys in. Denzel was number 50. Number 99 was JOK. I don't know if there was a game minimum, but I feel like should have Flacco gotten on this list?
Yes. He should have.
He's
And
top 100.
JOK should have been much higher up the list or much better.
But no one.
I think he has the right 2 MVPs of the Browns in Miles and Amari.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the 2 MVPs. That's the offensive
I also
defensive
think
MVP of the
I think
season.
Chiefs should be on there too. I
Yeah.
really do.
He was great.
You can make that argument.
I think he's probably the second most complete tight end in the NFL when you think about what he did in blocking. If you're going to watch some of the big plays to Amari Cooper, he's blocking defensive ends.
Yeah.
And then he's going out and catching, 90 yards worth of passes and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like there aren't guys that do that. Him and Kittle. That's it. That is
No,
that
short
is
list.
the list.
I'm looking right now.
Where's
for
Kittle?
Kittle is 35.
Chiefs should
So
be on the
then
list.
he should be on there. It's not that big of a difference.
He should be on the list in the top 60 at a minimum.
Kelsey is 71.
And
He's better than Kelsey this year.
this year he was.
He was. It just was. That's not a.
Yeah, there were only 2 tight ends on this list. If I'm doing my quick little go through everything.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson on this list is 88. He missed like 6 games, didn't he?
Yes.
At least.
At least. I mean, I had him in
The
fantasy.
hammy.
He missed a ton of games.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, but a fun little exercise.
Yeah, I just think if I were his
Should have come out
editors,
last week.
I would have it come out last week.
Yep.
Because otherwise, the list is sullied by the last weekend's performance in the playoffs. You can't help but put that stuff into perspective. All right, we will. You're going to hear from Joel Bitonio here momentarily. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballot, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Congratulations to your 2023 Browns Fan of the Year, Kathy Erb. Kathy, retired elementary school PE teacher, surprised her with a tour of the practice facility. She met Joel Bitonio, Joe Thomas, Z, Yellowstone. Excited to send Kathy to the Super Bowl as she represents the Browns for a chance to be named the NFL's Ultimate Fan of the Year. Head to clevelandbrowns.com/fan of the year 2024 to learn more. We do have, and we talked about this off the top. If you missed it off the top, it'll be available on podcasts wherever you get those, and certainly on the stream if you want to watch that. Our comments on the reporting today of the changes in the coaching staff, and we are waiting on official word on that. My hunch is you're going to get it in about probably 34 minutes. You're going to get that is probably how that's going to go. So we're kind of waiting on that. We did have Jake on sometime this afternoon, but you did have Jake on as well, who talked about some of that as well in terms of the reported removal of Alex Van Pelt, Stump Mitchell, and T.C. McCartney from the staff. So those things were addressed earlier in the program, and if something happens here in the next 32 minutes, we'll have it.
And I think our core on offense is very much intact and very good and effective, and obviously you need Deshaun to get to the proficiency we saw from Joe Flacco on that core, but I think you also need to get this offense more modernized in terms of the motion, in terms of the shotgun operation, all of those things that can maybe the RPO game a little bit that can be helpful to Deshaun Watson, which, as we've said at the beginning, is what everything is all about.
Yep. That's the whole operation. Yesterday, we towards the end of the show, we spent a couple minutes on this. There were a couple of fan things that happened over the weekend. The Kelly Stafford taking her daughters and saying that they were, kind of verbally abused by Lions fans, and then the
Class up.
For sure, but also know where you're going.
Don't wear that jacket.
Don't wear that jacket, and they don't need to be as much in the mix. Like, I know that I'm sure from Kelly's perspective, it was like, look, we lived here for a decade. These kids were born here. This is our home. But to Lions fans, it's their first home playoff game in 32 years, and you're the enemy, man.
Were they not in a suite?
She was down on the field with them. I'm sure they were in a suite for the game, but
well, Kirk Cousins and the play had his family sit in the stands.
But he ain't going to pay for a suite. You know that from the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't going to do that.
I saw that. Only one kid got to go. I'll let my brother go. Okay.
Like $100 and some million, and he can't.
Guaranteed, fully guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could afford ones for everybody. And then you had the Jerry Krause thing, and my point on that was he was honored in the Bulls Ring of Honor over the weekend. He posthumously passed in 2018. His widow was there. They put Jerry Krause on a big video board, and they booed as loudly as you can.
Yep.
And then they put the widow on the board, and she was uncomfortable and crying and awful. It's terrible, terrible. But to me, like, if you just tell them she's going to be in attendance, it's not as bad, right? It wouldn't have been as bad. It was never going to be good, but it was not going to be as bad. So Charles Barkley, this is on Inside.
Yep.
So from inside the NBA last night, addressing it.
I want to be very careful here because, Chicago.
Guys are down for just a sec.
What happened in Chicago the other night was a disgrace. It was a flat-out disgrace.
The booing of Jerry Krause, the late Jerry Krause.
The booing and having his wife cry like that, that was wrong on so many levels. Michael and Scotty and Dennis not showing up, that was wrong. It was a complete disgrace to the legacy of the Chicago Bulls. They've always been a great, great organization, but for that thing to go down like that, not to have the greatest player in your organization there and won 6 championships, and Dennis and Scotty, and first of all, I don't even know why you would put 100 guys in the Ring of Honor anyway. That's just stupid. But what those fans did to Mrs. Krause, that was not cool, and they owe that lady, everybody involved owe that lady an apology. Whether you like Jerry Krause or not, that man's dead. Rest in peace. His wife is there, and y'all made that lady cry, and that was total BS.
Wife, kids, grandkids.
Yeah, that was wrong, man. To have that lady crying like that hurt my heart watching that thing.
It was painful, and again, that's not an indictment of all Chicago fans by any means.
Come back.
Booed.
Chose to go that way. Yeah, I'm with you, and thanks for bringing that up.
I don't understand how they don't acknowledge the point I'm making.
I don't know if it makes as big a difference as you think.
I think it would have made some. I think you have some sense. Look, his widow's going to be there in his place. I think there's some conscience to that. To not do it at all and to just surprise, do they even know who they're booing? They weren't even booing her. They're just booing his image because they're trained to do it. I think the more interesting story, honestly, from all of this
I think I know where you're going, and I agree.
is what level of divide has happened there where none of the rest of them go.
That's what I don't understand.
Exactly. How's MJ not there? How's
he's
Pippen
dead.
not there?
Like
Yeah.
the finality of death should at least allow you on some level
But
to
they were all
bury
going in.
the hatchet. Right, so they should all have been
So
there.
Jordan should have been there. He was going in.
Were they not there because of Krause
I have
also?
no clue why they weren't there. And
That's the only
obviously,
thing I can think of, right?
Scotty and Michael got their own stuff with Michael's kid dating Scotty's ex-wife and all that business.
They were
And then
watching season 2 of Traitors. They're on there together.
whatever that program is. And then you've got like Rodman, okay, wild card, but like what happened between Reisdorf and Jordan that he won't go to Chicago?
I don't know. It made no
wild.
sense to me. And like Barkley was right. What are you doing inducting 100 people into this thing?
Do one at a time. Tonight's Michael Jordan night. 6 months from now, it's Scottie Pippen night, and then it'll be Rodman night, and then you do Krause after all of that because he does need to be in there. There is some. He did not draft Jordan. He did the Pippen trade. He drafted Horace Grant, but he did not draft Jordan.
He took Kukoc, though.
He did draft Kukoc.
Yeah.
But they held. Remember, they held that. Jordan hated Kukoc.
Yeah.
Because they viewed it as they didn't take care of Scotty. So
It's wild.
it's a mess. Yeah.
I don't know.
They have what it was the Last Dance doc. I mean, that was our first. It was so entertaining, and I think it came out during COVID.
Yep.
So that's why we all liked it so much because it happened at that time, and it was Jordan, and it was walk down memory lane. But that was the first of the sports washing docs.
Totally.
This isn't a documentary. This is the truth as I see it.
When you are the producer and have final edit control,
Yes.
it's not a documentary. A documentary is supposed to be, I think, by definition, an objective look at a
That's right.
individual circumstance, event, whatever it is. Here's going to be a very interesting story through my eyes completely.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Right.
You know,
And I took that personal.
Yeah, and I took that personal. And that's exactly what it was. There's one coming on Vince.
Which
With
is
Netflix. Is that him or is it?
So I've heard that it's supposed to be unreal. It is going to. They've interviewed everybody possible, and it changed from what it was originally going to be to now what it is in terms of what's happened with him out of the ring, he would call it, losing control of the company, the reasons for all that, the payoffs, all of it. Like it's supposed to be fully comprehensive, and we already know we've gotten that great, GIF or meme where he gets emotional, which is used for everything now, which is it's one of my favorites. So I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fascinating. He is a fascinating human being.
For sure.
His life is fascinating. The things that he did are, you're not going to agree with all of them. Not all of them are right or even, morally or legally defensible, but he is a fascinating person. And I think this is going to be a very real, comprehensive look at that.
I'm excited for that.
Supposedly it was supposed to be like a one-part thing, and now it's
Netflix who's doing it?
It's multiple parts, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot there.
There's
a lot of
There's
angles.
more than I'll tell you this. And I feel like I have a little bit more insight just because of all the people I know who have worked for him for so long. There is so much more than anybody could even possibly fathom.
Yeah.
That needs to come out in winter.
I think it is. I think it's coming out the next month.
Soon.
February, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
that's
Perfect.
the
That's
perfect
perfect time.
watching time. Not
Did
in
you
the
see
fall.
that Iron Claw movie, by the way?
No,
the
not
Von
yet.
Erich
Me and my
movie?
Zash are supposed to go see it. We're
So
going to
it's
go see it
supposed
like
to be-
next week. It's supposed to be amazing.
But I don't think it's I talked to a buddy who saw it this morning, and I don't think it's if you're going thinking it's going to be like rah-rah wrestling.
It's dark side. The Von Erich story is very dark.
It's very dark.
And apparently the guy that got to play Ric Flair is a disaster. I've seen
How
that
could you
scene.
do that well, though?
You could do that well. There's a
You could
billion
maybe.
people who could do that well.
You think? I feel like
Yes.
that's a tough spot.
Just put Will Ferrell in there as Ashley Schaefer. Let him do it.
Yeah, that's a
There are a ton of
Flair is
Ric
such a-
Flair impersonators out there.
that's true. Yeah, they probably should have just done that instead of trying to get an actor to do it.
yes.
They should have just hired an impersonator.
Somebody
to
who
do it.
right.
Yeah, that would have been the easiest.
Or
Because
a
it's probably
wrestler that impersonates him all the time.
Right.
there. You go.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that would work too. So yeah, there you go. We did have news down in Columbus. Athletic director Ross Bjork was hired this week down there. Shocking hire, I think, for a lot of people down there because the assumption was that Gene Smith, the longtime athletic director, 18 years, that it would be somebody from his tree, and Pat Shunn was the name that was named most often. He's currently the athletic director at Washington State. I don't need to bore you with all the intricacies of it. I would just say that the most recent president hire and this athletic director hire are dramatic changes from the previous style of hires that Ohio State has made in the president's role and in the athletic director role. And what both of these hires to me signify is we are going full steam ahead into what new college sports will be, which is maximizing revenue, understanding that you're going to have to pay and compensate college athletes, locked in on collectives, fundraising to the hilt. That is what this hire was about. Ross Bjork comes from Texas A&M. He actually wrote some of the legislation in the state of Texas on their NIL law. So he is going to be ultra aggressive on that front. And it is that and Ted Carter, who's the president, former Naval Academy, ran the Naval Academy, was a fighter pilot. He's the new president there. They are incredibly different in tone, ideologically, than anybody they've hired in 20 years. So, be a big change.
Wanted to get your thoughts because it was interesting. The Texas A&M, I'm like, okay, well, that's not a Midwest guy.
He's a Southern dude. He's from Dodge City, Kansas. Was at Western Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. And now he gets to run, arguably the biggest.
And he left Texas A&M with $76 million owed Jimbo Fisher.
So he did that
Good
contract.
job by him.
But it was not his doing. It was
Yep.
the boosters who demanded that he give Fisher that deal. They were fearful he was going to leave to LSU. So he did not do that deal. It was done above him. And that's the tricky part about being an athletic director. You're answering to about 1,000 people. You're answering to a board, you're answering to a president, you're answering to boosters. It's a lot. You got to be a good politician. This guy at a press conference today was very impressive.
You're answering at that level, you're answering to like an army of Buddy Garrity's.
You are answering, yes.
Like in the boosters, and that's
billionaire Buddy Garrity's.
Billionaire Buddy.
At A&M, at Ohio State,
yes.
you're talking about billionaire Buddy Garrity's is what you're answering to.
Right.
Yeah. No. And they don't have a lot of patience.
That.
Those guys don't like that.
You know Buddy Garrity?
No, I was laughing at what Griff said.
Does he know Buddy Garrity?
No. I don't know if we should. I don't know if we should.
No,
say it, but I
don't,
can tell you
don't.
out there that it was very funny.
Time to go to break.
Yeah, we'll go to break. Joel Bitonio up next. Cleveland Browns Daily 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be sure to check out the Browns social media channels daily to play the Browns digital scratch-off game for your chance to win club seats and other great prizes presented by the Ohio Lottery, the official lottery of your Cleveland Browns. And now let's head back to Sunday and locker clean-out day at the podium. Joel Bitonio.
What's the state of the ankle?
Good to know.
Right, it's high ankle sprain, pretty good one. So didn't feel good this morning when I woke up to go to the bathroom, but I got a lot of time now, so I'll be able to get it right, fix my body and be ready to roll when the time comes.
How are you processing this? What are your takeaways from the season?
Yeah, it was a tough way to finish. I give all the credit to Houston. They came out and played great and did a good job against us, but we didn't want to end that way. And honestly, we thought we were, coming in half, like, defense going to stop, we get the ball back, we go score, and, the pick six happened twice, and then he went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. So, like, in a kind of a 6-minute span, kind of game got out of reach for us there. But obviously the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think it diminishes what these guys did, being resilient this year, coming together. I think the culture of this team and where we're at as a group of men that just like being around each other and want to win for the city of Cleveland. Like, it's never been higher since I've been here. So I think that the future of that is something to look forward to.
Joel, for you individually, this year, I know you're always banged up as an offensive lineman, but the knee, the back, the ankle now, was there any frustration for you with the injuries this year and just having to deal with all that?
Yeah, it was honestly very frustrating for me this year. I came into the year and I felt great. I was like, I'm not feeling old, year 10, best year yet. And, from the jump, my knee just, wasn't there. And obviously I had to get the surgery. Coming back from that, it didn't allow me to train, practice the way I wanted to. And I think that kind of just, snowballs into the back, the oblique, the ankle. The ankle's freak I got rolled up on. But, all those other things kind of add together. And it's something you don't want. You don't want injuries. You don't want to be there. And I have high standards for myself, you know what I mean? And I want to live up to those standards. I want it for my teammates, for the coaching staff, and things like that. And being hurt this year definitely took its toll.
Joe, after 10 years and dealing with all the stuff you dealt with this year, you plan to come back next year?
Yeah. I want to play, and I want to show I can still play at a very elite level, honestly to myself and to my teammates, hey, I still feel like I played well this year, but I think there's always more, and you always want to push yourself to be at the top of your game. And I still feel good. I'm gonna use this offseason to get my body right. But I plan to be back.
How much do you think everything affected your play? Right, all those injuries, dealing with
yeah,
everything?
the
high level, but
the hardest part for me was just not being able to train, lift, with the knee injury. It's almost like you're taking a month off from lifting. You come back and it's it feels pretty good, but then you go into a game and it's dang, I got to take this week off to get back to the game. So I think it was just the little things, and then that adds to towards the end of the season, your back, your oblique, all those things where it's maybe if I would have been able to lift more earlier in the year or practice more, those things add up. So it definitely affected it. And like you said, you want to be out there with your teammates. I wanted to be out there yesterday. It would have been a lot cooler if we would have won the game, but I wanted to be out there with the guys and compete with them.
I thought you got snubbed for the first team All-Pro this year. After making it the previous 2 years, were you a little disappointed to not be on there this year?
I think it's, for O-linemen, it's kind of we don't really get too many stats. So it's one of the cool things. I think there's Thuney is a great left guard in this league, and he's been for, 8 or 9 years, however long he's played. Tyler Smith is a young up-and-coming player who's great. Quinn Nelson, there's a lot of good left guards. So, I was hurt this year. I played 15 games, I thought we did a good job as an O-line with all the stuff that happened around us. But there's a lot of good left guards in this league. So, if anything, it just drives us, We'll have to try and get it back next year.
Are you surprised? It seemed like Texans attacked you guys differently defensively yesterday from that first game. Did that caught you guys off guard a little bit?
I can't speak to the coverages, that we face because I'm not really dealing with that. I thought their front was pretty similar. Maybe they blitzed a little bit more than they did in the first game. I think he just made bigger plays and bigger moments. Those pick sixes were were very tough for us to recover from. But they did a great job. They kicked our butt yesterday pretty good, and it kind of sucks to end the season on that note.
So when you look at the O-line as a whole, and just obviously with the injury you dealt with, what just most impressed you about what you guys did as a group this year?
Yeah, we had a lot of different guys have to step up for us. I think Coach Callahan, Coach Peters, John DeCoster, all did a great job of getting guys ready to play. We thought we had a strong starting five that was coming back, and then obviously from day one injuries, hurt us. I think DeJuan stepped up and showed that he can be a starting tackle in this league as well. And then Dunny, like always, came in ready when he needed to. Nick Harris, and then obviously he kept moving down to James and G, and all these guys had to step in and make plays for us. But to do that and to still win 11 games and help protect, all 4 or 5 quarterbacks that we had this year, I think it's a testament to the guys. They put in the work in practice and training camp to be ready to go when they have a chance.
What do you feel like the outlook is with Deshaun as your starting quarterback coming back next year?
I think it's good. He was another one that every time it felt like we were taking a step, he got banged up or hurt. We beat Baltimore at Baltimore with Deshaun. They have a chance. They're still playing. They're playing next week in the division game. The Titans game, the Cardinals game. I'm pretty sure he was 4-1, as a starter this year. With our defense, if they played at the level we know and expect them to play to, I feel very confident with Deshaun coming back and being our quarterback.
We talked all year about the camaraderie and the morale that this team has been able to encase. I know it's probably a little early to say, but how do you see those bonds you guys built throughout this year translating through the offseason as you guys try to bounce back from this one?
Yeah, it's been cool. I mean, when you can be together, I just look at David, and I know everybody's talking about David, but when he first came in, he was a 20-year-old kid from Miami. And you're like, oh man, does this guy want to be here and stuff? And now he's been here probably 6 or 7 years now. It's one of my favorite guys to be around. You know what I mean? So you just build these bonds, and I think winning helps everything. You talk about a culture and stuff, and it's the winning obviously helps that stuff. But there's going to be guys that are here that are working, they're pushing each other, and pretty much anywhere you go in the country, you have someone that you played with that's going to let you stay at their house or go get a meal with.
Joel, you've talked about, you mentioned earlier that you think this could be the floor. Is this the most optimistic you felt coming out of the season?
Yeah. In 2020 when we made the playoffs, it was the first time I made the playoffs, so I wasn't quite sure, but I was confident that we could get back, and then obviously I kind of fell apart a little bit there, but I think we have the right guys in here, the right culture right now. The camaraderie with the room is good, so I am confident in this group and their ability to get back to the level we want to next year.
You're back. You're up.
All right, there you go. Joel Bitonio from Clean Out Day on Sunday.
Oh, baby.
There you go. The next
30.
level is coming up next. We are back tomorrow. Enjoy your first Friday,
Manana.
kids. Be sure you act accordingly on all of those fronts. Thanks for listening.
2 stars twinkle in the sky.
Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Every time.